Are you serious? Are you serious? Welcome, folks, to this powerful broadcast today. Wow, we've got some incredible information. Guys, the trade war, we're past that. It's getting intense now. Matter of fact, we've got some information just come in. Deflation, falling exports have been seen now driving more. Matter of fact, the Bank of Korea is now cutting rates drastically. According to reports coming out of Seoul, South Korea, the South Korean recorded an annual fall in consumer prices for the first time in September, while exports shrank for a 10th consecutive month. Data showed Tuesday reinforcing the expectations of further policy easing from the central banks. Matter of fact, the consumer price index slid 0.4% in September from a year earlier. What does that mean? Statistically, Korea's data shows that just missing 0.3% fall tipped in a Reuters survey. It was the first time that South Korea has recorded a deflation on an annual basis since 1965. So this is getting very serious. We want to know what this means for world markets. Now, I can just tell you, our stock market lost 343 points or something like that right now. Gold is slipping, silver slipping, all of this just in the last 2-3 weeks. We've been experiencing a little bit of the, lack of stability. And if you're looking at the stock market right now, or just a few minutes ago, it was negative 343. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in an expert who truly knows what's going on, who's going to help us, who's got a winning combination, even in this volatile world. He knows how to pick the right stocks and help people be able to trade accordingly and be very successful. That's Bob Kudla from TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, great to have you on today.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me. And if everybody, I'm in a new office, so if I look like I'm in an interrogation, I apologize in advance.
Well, you look all right. I mean, you look fine. Maybe you are in an interrogation. I mean, the whole situation, Bob, is getting a little precarious. I know Trump knows what he's doing, and he's fighting a war, really. And it's a global war. It's a trade war. We've been way out of whack with China, especially for years. But now, is this starting to affect some of our allies?
Yeah, Paul, this goes actually way beyond the trade war. They're going to blame it on the trade war. They're going to blame it on the Fed. They're going to blame it on the crazy Democrats. But what's happening here is that, for what we've been in, this is now, almost 90 years since the last Great Depression, and we've accumulated worldwide, I think, $246 trillion in debt. And we have countries like Korea and Japan and China and Germany that created these imbalances in the world economy. It's a society called mercantilism. And what that means is that everything's designed around exporting. They limit their consumers' ability to choose how much free cash they have, and then they limit the ability of other countries to export their goods. And that's what caused the imbalance, which really caused us to have Trump, is because basically America was getting hollowed out. So Trump did the trade war, okay? And now what that's doing now is he's forcing balance into these economies. Well, they're ill-equipped to deal with it because, when you don't give your people freedom and the leaders don't want to give up power, you end up with the situation where that we're having right now. So China is ready to implode, and Korea gave what I call the first sniff of deflation, of the first sniff of what I would call the Great Depression 2.0. Now, before everybody starts freaking out, I have a very big silver lining, and I don't mean that just because I'm going to talk about silver, is that in the first Great Depression, America was China in the sense that we ran current account surpluses, we ran trade surpluses, we ran budget surpluses. Okay, now when our export markets got cut off, America went into a deep depression. Well, the people that survived the Great Depression the best was Great Britain. Great Britain, in fact, parts of London real estate went up during the Great Depression because they were running a current account deficit, a trade deficit, and a budget deficit. And so when you start cutting off trade like we've been cutting off, is that actually our country is the recipient of that. And so you're going to see around the world, those countries that I just discussed are going to be in a really, really deep funk. And I'm talking like Great Depression kind of funk. Where the United States is, we're going to get a fever. And we're going to not feel really good, but we're going to be, at the end of the day, we're going to be okay. And we're going to be okay for a number of reasons. Is that number one is that we can produce all our own energy, Paul. We can produce all our own food. And for the most part, the things that we have to import are more political than have to. So we could create what's called our own pressure cooker. And that way we can fight our way through our debts and deficits. And what Trump is doing, he's recreating the United Kingdom great empire all over again, but he's doing it under American leadership this time. So the English-speaking countries, they call them the group of five. You have New Zealand, you have Australia, you have Great Britain, you have the United States, and you have Canada. And then what I want to add to that is Mexico is going to be part of that process. Japan will be part of that club. And I would want to say probably towards on the periphery, I would say Brazil will be invited as well. And that's going to be the block that's going to fight its way through this economic malaise. And those countries outside of that block, maybe India will be part of it as well, are going to be in deep weeds, Paul. Well, and so, go ahead.
Well, my question would be, you bring up the UK now. You didn't mention anybody really out of the European Union. And do you see, I mean, look, isn't the president trying to bring UK into some kind of new NAFTA arrangement already on trade and help pull them away out of that disaster called the European Union?
He already said so. He said, once you leave the European Union, we'll set up a bilateral trade deal with the United Kingdom. And so, look, there hard Brexit's happening, Paul.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
The European Union is dead. You and I talked about this a million times. You know, that place is iron and clay, and they're going to implode. And the leftists and the progressives there, they made quite a bed for themselves, and it's going to be an awful place to live in the next 10 years.
They look like they're trying to hold Boris Johnson hostage. They're almost saying, you don't get to leave, and you're going to pay. If you do, you're paying $39 billion in a penalty. And he's saying, look, we can't pay the $39 billion. That's not going to happen. And we are leaving, and we have a place to land. But they're trying to lock down certain kinds of deals that, they're trying their best to injure them into not leaving. And now, what's his name? Actually, I saw David Cameron come out of the woodwork yesterday. I saw him last night on the news saying, I think there should be another election, and let's let the people decide whether they Brexit or not. I mean, what is that?
Look, it's a deep state. It's a deep state in the United Kingdom and Europe to preserve this status quo. Look, United Kingdom is being sucked dry by Europe with this union, and as soon as they leave, look, Germany is in big trouble. Okay, so they'll forge a trade deal with the United Kingdom in a heartbeat because they export so much to the United Kingdom and that's the only country that matters in Europe. Okay, the French are the ones that are screaming the most, and the Belgians, the Belgians, and so the Germans are like, hey, they're keeping quiet because they know if they hard Brexit this thing, all Boris has to say is that, hey, you know what, we're not going to trade with you. We'll cut a deal with the Americans. We'll take their cars, and so Germany's going to come on board really fast. And it's over. You'll see the Nordic bloc. The Dutch will come on board. It's just going to be the Francophile part of the world that's going to be left hanging here, and because they're the ones that wanted this union in the first place to kind of control and contain Germany, but it's not working for England anymore. It is amazing. We have our deep state, we have their deep state. Everybody's trying to preserve this rotting carcass of European progressivism that I think is going to suffer a mighty blow here over the next decade.
Folks, this is Bob Kudla with TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob Kudla with TradeGeniusAcademy.com. The phone number there is 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. He's running some Halloween specials here in the month of October. So you want to pick up the phone and call. He's able to teach through his very unique program and algorithms some winning combinations to help people understand how to maneuver their way around this volatile world. I mean, the stock market's strong, Bob. I mean, it's strong. And even though we've got this massive trade deficit with China, we seem to, like you just said, we can grow our own food. We're the number one producers of oil now in the world. It doesn't matter that Saudi Arabia blew up. Their oil fields blew up, and they're being attacked every day by Iran through the Houthi rebels. It doesn't even matter if they turn off all of their oil wells. We can grow our own food. We have our own energy. Really, we're in pretty good shape economically, aren't we?
Yeah, and the reason why the stock market went down today is because our manufacturers actually reported basically a loss of growth. Look, the stock market is overvalued, Paul, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some pullback in the market. The economy is still okay. I think right now what may tip things is if people start freaking out about the political environment. It has become toxic. Basically, Trump's positioning this as a coup attempt again on his presidency. So he's ratcheting it up. He's calling for Adam Schiff to be arrested and prosecuted as a traitor to the country, and so at some point, when people think this impeachment thing may actually happen, when I don't mean that he'll be impeached, i.e., convicted and sent out of the presidency, but that it'll become a drama. And I think that's my only caveat on a go-forward basis is that when this thing becomes less of a parlor trick and the Democrats really start to push hard on this thing and it get more and more weird, like what's happening with Warren and with Bernie Sanders. I mean, they basically want to take everybody's wealth away. Then kind of all bets are off because people will start getting scared and they'll start positioning for some leaner time. So that's the only thing that I worry about. But from an economic structural standpoint, as long as we have the status quo, then our economy is just going to blast right through this. And as other countries implode, we'll just circle into ourselves. And I'm actually a little bit positive in the sense that after Nancy Pelosi kind of stepped on her own words here, basically saying I saw the memo before she saw the memo, and the memo then was false, she started sending overtures to Trump saying, hey, let's work on drug prices, let's work on the new free trade agreement. So I think cooler heads may prevail and try to rein in these hotheads that are sitting on the Judiciary Committee.
Yeah, Pelosi has really been very weak as the Speaker of the House. She barely got this position back, and AOC basically trying to take over the Congress. And then you've got this Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff and all the rest of that bunch that wants to do nothing but investigate. Nobody over there wants to legislate. So the fact that Pelosi realizes that she's messed up by letting them call for the inquiry and realizing, man, this is really bad. We're trying to impeach the president over a phone call. Whoever heard of such a thing? It is a joke. But I think that the Democrats and the House of Representatives are going to impeach the president. I think they don't know what else to do. They have no other hand to play. It's going to backfire on him. I really believe that. He's not going to lose the presidency because the Senate would never touch him. But it's really ugly. I mean, you're right, Bob. It's just so ugly. Folks, go to www.tradegeniusacademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. You can use the promo code Paul Begley. Get over there, find out what's going on, let Bob help you understand the markets and understand how to trade and get you started. If you already are a trader, boy, this is the guy with the expertise with a winning hand. He's been winning more than, he's heard just 60-70% of his trades are amazing, and you've got charts to prove it. So, Bob, I mean, really, you're right. I think this whole ugly mess in Washington, I'm hoping that cooler heads do prevail. I'm hoping that Nancy says, look, enough's enough. We got to get on with business. Let me ask you a question, because Elizabeth Warren threatened Zuckerberg. I mean, Zuckerberg had a private meeting, and somebody leaked out what he said, that if Warren wins, she's crazy. She wants to try to completely break his company in half, as well as Amazon's and Google. And her and Bernie and these guys are just threatening big business. How can that be good for business to have these people? I mean, this is getting insane, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I mean, I just laugh because, the social media companies have been against us, and they turn around and who they're going to eat, they're going to eat their own. And so maybe Zuckerberg and these people that have been suppressing all these videos at Google and at Twitter and all this other stuff, maybe they're going to realize, hey, wait a minute, Trump's never been the enemy. The enemy is within. And think about this for a second. Let's say they get elected and they start trying to pull off these taxes or pull off these breakups. It's going to collapse the stock market.
Yeah.
Somebody came on and said, look, I'm a liberal, and if Warren gets elected or Sanders gets elected, the market's going to be limit down for weeks. That means 5% down every day for weeks as people try to get the heck out of the market. And she's going to destroy every pension fund in the country, including all the union pensions from all the states and the municipalities and utilities and the AFL-CIO. So, I mean, they just don't think past their own rhetoric. And Trump's going to use that with glee going into the election, basically saying, yeah, vote for Warren. She's going to destroy your retirement. But go ahead, vote for her, versus me trying to grow the economy for you. And I have a thought on this. I think Pelosi may have been working with Trump on this last thing, too. Basically set up her own left wing on this thing so they have egg on their face, so she can just say, hey, look, you guys just pulled it. You overplayed your hand. We're moving on. And if they go to a vote, people don't realize this. The Judiciary Committee can't just say, we're going to impeach you. They literally have to have a formal vote, Paul. And they have to have a crime in mind. Okay? And you got to realize there's 27 Democrats that Trump carried in the 2016 election that are going to be on the hook if they vote to go and to impeach. And so, and then once that happens, the Senate won't even take it up. I mean, McConnell said, yeah, we'll take it up. He said, but we're under no time constraint. There's no requirement for the U.S. Senate to even take up the conviction. Okay? They can just let the House impeachment just die or hang. And the other thing that people don't realize about an impeachment is Trump has full subpoena power to face his accusers. So that means this whistleblower no longer protected. Anybody, that person that they said they had hearsay evidence of, guess what? Under oath. Who were these people? You don't know. You heard things. You work with these people. Who did you work with? I mean, it would be painful. And Trump did it very cleverly. I think he set this thing up too. That means he can subpoena everybody that was involved in the 2016 coup attempt against him, and he can drag all these people in.
Wow!
There's no way they're gonna want to do that because they're going to be under oath in public. They can't say, I plead the fifth. Okay, it would make a mockery out of the proceedings.
So you're saying,
so I just think eventually it's going to die, and if it doesn't die, it's just going to propel Trump into the election, because the American people, if they're one thing, they're fair.
folks, Bob Kudla with us with TradeGeniusAcademy.com. You can always call his office at 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. Go visit his website at www.tradegeniusacademy.com. You know what? If he started pulling the subpoena power out, I mean, here comes John Brenneman, bring in James Comey, bring in Andrew McCabe, bring in Adam Schiff, bring in the whole FISA, the whole bunch involved, Christopher Steele. You got to bring in the Clintons. You got to keep bringing them in. I mean, my Lord, have mercy. It would be an ugly, real ugly. What about Peter Strzok and Lisa Page? And who else was in these secret society meetings that Andrew had in his office? They were talking about with Peter Strzok and, I mean, Comey and his higher loyalty. I mean, really, you're right. I mean, this would maybe just tear down the entire republic. I mean, this is so ugly. How long can this game continue? People watching us every day wondering what in the world's going on in the swamp. We have a nation that is the most blessed country in the world with the greatest system, and yet we got these idiots, it seems like, in Washington that can't get out of the way. I mean, they're like swamp creatures. It's like reptilians of some sort. So the good news is everybody just keeps getting them going to work, Bob. Everybody just keeps getting them going to work, and things just keep turning. I mean, is that America?
Yeah, I mean, well, not the first part, but look, these people have been planning this for decades, Paul, decades. And they thought they had it with Clinton. They had everybody positioned, and they were going to integrate us into the European model.
Globalism,
and
socialism,
climate change thing. So these people are livid. And what they're trying to do is that they can't impeach him. They want to damage him so much that they get Democrats back in there, and then they'll just go right back to doing what they're doing. They literally will hire Comey back as FBI director. I mean, they will do that kind of stuff. And then, then the Republicans in big trouble, because then they could change America for good. Look, they don't want to have borders. They don't want to follow rules of law. I mean, then things could get real. But look, that's down the road. And, in the meantime, nice to speculate on it. But, you have to kind of be prepared. And, that's what we've been doing. Every time we have these little bumps in the road, gold, silver, platinum, palladium pop up like they did today. I shot you a chart. As soon as I saw those reports came out this morning, we turned around and bought platinum again, which is just an ETF that everybody could buy. And we've had 4 trades now on it. And, since the beginning of September, and we're up over 40% on it.
Here's these charts.
There's a couple quick trades. You make a couple times a week, and we can help people make good money. And there's always a bull market somewhere, Paul. No matter how dire things are, people make money. During the Great Depression, people made a lot of money buying gold miners.
Folks, here's some of these charts right now. We're showing these charts right now, Bob. I mean, you're showing how gold and you're showing how these charts just shot up with these trades.
Yeah, and one thing people have to bear in mind too is, we had a big IPO that was going to come out called WeWork. They had to cancel it, and usually that's kind of a warning sign that maybe the stock market has topped, Paul. So I don't want to be all sugar plums here. We could get a pretty good sell-off in the markets because people have to adjust now to valuations that aren't going to be as robust. And so there's one chart I showed you where I showed you the arrow down. That is the most vulnerable chart, that one and the NASDAQ, because they have many small companies in there that aren't profitable. And as the Fed continues to lower interest rates, bank stocks don't do very well. And as we get closer to the election, healthcare will be in the political crosshairs. And that small cap index, IWM, is mostly financials and healthcare stocks and many small stocks that aren't making any money. And they're all going to get valued down, Paul. So there's ways in which people can make money. We're showing people how they could do that This week we've been short that index, and we think that index is the most vulnerable along with the financials, as the Fed will have to continue to cut rates here going into next year. The good news is if you have a home and you can refinance, you're going to be able to continue to refinance your interest rate down. You may get historic lows. In Europe, people are getting mortgages that they're getting paid. Okay? So, I mean, we're going to get to a point where we may get to zero rates at some point. That's how serious this can become.
And that was good for the consumer, for the housing market, or for the for the average citizen who could get the low interest rates on their mortgages. But at the same time, it's not good for the banks. It's not good for those who have money, because then they can't make any interest off their money. So it's, again, like you said, what goes up must come down. There's always a fluctuation when we're talking about these things, and like you said, some of the groups in Washington would certainly like to pull us into a globalism. They'd like to get us and make us a super socialistic society. We've heard, I can't believe that we have socialists now leading in the polls on the left, but Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Buttigieg is maybe not as much a socialist as he is somewhere in the middle, but most of these folks over there really are super socialist, almost leaning communist mentality. But America, I think, will, at the end of the day, will take a double look in the mirror and say, wait a minute, why do we want to take a chance on that? Things are going well enough. I like what's going on. I don't want my taxes to go up. I want to keep my job. And I think they're gonna come to their senses at come time to go to the polls. And Bob, tell people about your Halloween special that you have coming up, all these specials for this month.
Yeah, and I want to say harvest special because I don't believe in Halloween, but my marketing people, I asked them to change it, so I apologize for people on that. People don't realize that's just not a safe word,
Yeah, I don't like it either. You don't like it. I don't like it. I love harvest, but you have to tell the market.
I couldn't get it through, but we're running specials to Saturday night. For your listeners, Paul, like we always do. We have some great bundles where people can get into the trading rooms. They can get training. They get access to the trade signals. We even have software that have our algorithm showing buy and sell signals right on it. You can see in some of the charts that I put up there where people can. We teach you how to use those signals when you see the triangles and the diamonds and the circles, and it just helps you. First of all, learn how to trade, number one, and number two, give you confidence, and then number three, we spoon feed you some deals too, so that you can get on the right side of the trade. And so we work out very well, and we don't promise people Lamborghinis, but we definitely are going to help you make money nearly every day in the market. And we've been doing this a long time, Paul, and human nature doesn't change, and our algorithms are based on that notion. And so we see the buying pressure, we see the selling pressure, and we just help people get on the right side of the trade. So tradelikeagenius.com or tradegeniusacademy.com, it'll both get you there. And if you sign up before Saturday, you get some really, really good pricing so that we can help you make money and give you a good return on your investment with us.
Now, you also help people when it comes to precious metals as well. I know that both gold and silver has slipped a little here in just the last couple weeks. Is there any reason for that? Because we did see this thing start to rise. Is it because earlier in the fall there was some big selling going on? Some of the S&P companies, some of the blue chips were selling off some stock and was throwing it at precious metals, and now that's quieting down. I don't know. Can you help us on this?
Yeah. So first of all, perspective. We've had a big move from January into late spring. Then we had a big move from June into last week. And what happens is people take profit. Number one, and number two is that gold is kind of like a bit of an alarm clock, and so everybody started cooing and purring that things are going to be okay again, and hey, get back in the stock market. You don't need to be in precious metals. The interest rates are too low, and interest rates are kind of like a working opposition to gold and silver. As interest rates keep falling, it usually is a signal for people to get into gold, and when interest rates start to back up, it hurts gold and silver, and that's what happened. But if you notice, as soon as we had the next whiff of worry today, gold, silver, the miners all popped.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to see more and more of. It's going to be a bit choppy, but once gold gets over 1,600, it's going to new highs. Once silver, gets back up to where it was just 2 weeks ago, it's going to be over 20. And then as the Fed keeps lowering interest rates, it's going to be Katie bar the door. Gold, silver, the miners, platinum, palladium, the 4 precious metals are just going to rocket. So I tell people, look, we take profit on these things. We try to get in on the dips, and we always try to hold some position in them, because at some point, that's going to be the only game in town, Paul.
Well, and right now it sounds like it's time to buy, then, is what you're saying, because it has taken this little dip. This might be a time to jump in, because if gold goes over 1,600 an ounce, it'd be a good time to jump in now, and same thing with silver. So,
we're in the third inning. We're in the third inning of this game right now.
Folks, this is Bob Kudla, TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Again, you can call him on the phone, also 1-800-949-1408. That's 1-800-949-1408. Get in on these harvest specials that he's got going right now over at www.tradegeniusacademy.com. And you know what? It's a good time, because a lot of times, if you get in the fall of the year, things really turn the corner early on. And so this is a good time to learn. What I'm saying is to newcomers, and some of you who maybe have never been in the stock market, this is a good time to get in and learn and get some training and learn his algorithm system and how he alerts you. It's time to buy, it's time to sell, and he gives you the pointers. This is a time to learn. So go over there, check it out at TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Bob, what will happen if they come? How will you get them going?
Yeah, so you just call in, or you hit the chat, or you email us. Once you sign up, we'll get you in the chat room, or we take the number for you to text, and then we do the rest. So you can participate in the chat rooms if you want. If you want training, we'd schedule training with you. And if you want the software, you just give us your username for this software called TradingView, which is out there. It's free. And then we would put our indicators on there for you that you can use as long as you're a client. So the first step is just to contact us, and we'll walk you through the rest. And then we'll help you pick out the bundle that works best for you. It could be a small bundle, it could be a larger bundle, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. And we trade cryptocurrencies as well as we trade gold, silver, and the stock market. So depending on where your interests lie, we think cryptocurrencies is still going to be a secular move, and it's a place where people are going to bail out of the banking system. So we kind of got you covered when you want to bail out of the deep state or the banking state, and to be able to preserve wealth, and in many cases to build it.
Bob, we appreciate you coming on, being with us today. This is some great information. And again, you always give us hope. We need to trust in the Lord, folks, and let the Lord lead you in these decisions. And certainly, Trade Genius Academy can help you, give you all the information, the tools you need to be successful. Bob, thank you for coming on, being with us today.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Folks, we'll see you next time right here. God bless.